Hi, it's Sylvester. A while ago, I promised myself that I would no longer make videos while angry because I used to make a lot of angry YouTube videos and I would almost always come to regret it once I stopped being angry. However, I'm going to break that promise today, but I'm doing it very intentionally. I'm doing it because I want to show you how I've learned to deal with my anger. Now, I still have a long way to go in terms of anger management. It's a long journey, a long process, but I've definitely come a long way from where I used to be. If you don't know, I've struggled with anger issues for a long time, and I've made a ton of progress. Part of that is because of the medication I'm on. The medication I'm on certainly does help a lot with my anger, but a big part of what has helped me with my anger is just independent research. I've just been looking up coping strategies and anger management, and I've been doing my research, trying to figure out how to deal with my anger productively. And so I am currently angry, but I'm not going to be super over the top angry. I'm going to try very hard to mask my anger because I don't want to upset anyone. I don't want this video to be triggering for anyone, and I know that seeing other people angry can be very triggering for people. So again, I'm trying very hard to mask my anger, and I'm just going to talk you through the process of what I do when I'm angry. So, first thing I do when I'm angry is realize that I'm angry. This may sound stupid. I used to think I was a pretty self aware person, but my previous therapist, the therapist I had before the one I have currently, she actually helped me realize that I don't always realize when I'm angry, oftentimes until it's too late. Because sometimes I'm angry, but it's not like at the forefront of my mind. It's not like an obvious kind of rage. It's just kind of like a little flame burning in the back of my brain that's there, but I don't always realize that it's there until it's fully caught fire and my whole brain is on fire. And then suddenly it's like, oh, yeah, I'm angry. But, I don't catch it early enough. And so I'm proud of myself that I was able to catch this anger pretty early. I was sitting around, doing chores, cleaning up the apartment. I guess I wasn't sitting around, but like my brain was idle. I was listening to a YouTube video, but it was I kind of wasn't really paying attention, and my brain started thinking about things that make me angry. So that's the second thing that I try to do once I realize that I'm angry. I try to figure out what it is that made me angry, and that's not always easy. Like right now, for instance, I can't really put a finger exactly on what made me angry. I don't really know why I'm angry. I just kind of am. But what made me realize that I was angry is that, again, my brain started thinking of things that make me angry. And I don't know, like, what came first, the chicken or the egg. Like, if my brain started thinking about these things and then that caused me to become angry, like maybe that was the event that triggered my anger. Or it's possible that I was already angry, didn't realize it, and then my brain was trying to look for an excuse as to why I'm angry, because that's something that often happens. When I'm angry and I don't know why I'm angry, I will make up reasons for why I'm angry. It'll be like, oh, it's because of this thing that happened years ago that really upset me, or it's because this person said to me a while ago, or it's because of how this person wronged me in the past, or, like my brain will just come up with excuses as to why I'm angry. But again, I don't know if thinking of those things is what caused me to be angry, or if I was already angry and my brain was just trying to come up with reasons as to why I'm angry. Because also when I'm angry, my brain will do this thing where it thinks of more reasons for me to be angry. Once I'm angry about one thing, suddenly I'll be reminded of this other thing that makes me angry, and then this other thing that makes me angry, and then this thing, and this thing, and this thing, and this thing. And then next thing you know, I'm not just angry about one thing, I'm angry about a million different things. And so, again, I'm not entirely sure what triggered my anger. And the thing about having anger issues is that sometimes I think nothing really triggers it at all. I think sometimes I just become angry for no reason. I mean, it's also possible that the thing that made me angry is that I got caught in the rain right before filming this video, or not right before filming this video, but shortly before filming this video, I was outside and it started raining really hard and I got kind of wet. And that made me kind of uncomfortable because no one really likes being, stuck in the rain. It's an uncomfortable feeling to be wet in your clothes. So perhaps that is what caused me to become angry, just the inconvenience of having been rained on. But again, I'm not really sure what triggered it. And this is kind of a problem when it comes to anger management, because one thing that I've seen over and over and over again in my research is the avoidance of triggers, like trying to stay away from things that I know are going to cause me to become angry, if at all possible, or if I know something is going to cause me to become angry, I need to approach it prepared to become angry. And so when you don't know what the trigger is, when you don't know what caused the anger, it's hard to avoid that thing because it's like, well, I don't know. I don't really know what caused me to become angry. If it was the fact that I got stuck in the rain, then I can't really avoid that. I mean, I can. I saw the weather. I looked at the weather and I knew it was going to rain today, so I knew rain was coming. So I could have just not gone outside. Or like I can't, sometimes you're going to get rained on. You can't always avoid things that are going to trigger anger. Or if it was just the fact that my brain started thinking about random things that caused me to become angry, again, I don't know how to avoid that trigger because my brain does what it wants, right? And as much as I am in control of my thoughts, sometimes I don't feel like I have that much control over my thoughts, and sometimes my brain will just, it's like that phenomenon when you're lying in bed trying to fall asleep and then your brain thinks of something embarrassing you did in grade 10, and then you're like, damn it, brain, why did you do this to me? It's that sort of thing where it's like sometimes my brain will just think of things that make me angry, and I don't know why my brain does that. And I don't know how to stop it from doing that because it's not really something that feels like it's in my control. So those are triggers that are kind of hard to avoid. Next thing I do once I've realized that I'm angry and once I've tried to figure out what caused the anger is I try to be gentle with myself. Because there's a lot of shame when you struggle with anger issues. There's a lot of shame around being angry. And shame doesn't make anything better when you're angry. It doesn't make the anger go away. In fact, a lot of times it just makes the anger worse because the shame leads to embarrassment, which leads to more anger. And so instead of shaming myself for being angry, I, again, am gentle with myself. I try to remind myself that this is a human emotion, that I'm not, I can't excuse me, I can't control that I have become angry. Like, it's just a thing that happens sometimes, and it's not my fault. And, there's no shame in being angry. What's shameful is what you do with your anger. If you choose to do something harmful or destructive with that anger, then that's shameful. But just being angry is not something to be ashamed of. It's something that happens to everyone. It is normal. It is okay. And the next thing I try to ask myself is, what is this anger trying to tell me? This kind of goes hand in hand with thinking about what triggered the anger, because, emotions exist for a reason. If you're sad, it's because something is making you sad, And sadness exists because, you're supposed to honor that sadness. You're supposed to honor your feelings and honor your emotions. And so when you're angry, again, that anger exists for a reason. You're feeling angry for a reason. And so what does this anger have to teach me? Why am I feeling this anger? And again, it's really hard to pinpoint that because I don't know what exactly caused me to become angry. Perhaps it is because of the rain, in which case the anger is just telling me that was an unpleasant experience. Let's not do that again if at all possible. And so in the future, I will try to avoid being stuck in the rain. If it's the random thoughts that cause me to become angry, then I suppose the lesson to be learned from that is that as much as it might not feel like it, I am in control of my thoughts and I can choose what to think. And so instead of dwelling on these things that I know cause me to become angry, I should instead think of something else. Which is another big thing that I've seen in my research for anger management is distraction. Try to find a way to take your mind off of the thing that is making you angry. Now, this feels to me, when I was first learning about anger management, this felt like it was kind of like a Band-Aid solution, like a temporary solution. Because if there's something in this world that makes me very angry, then simply not thinking about it isn't going to make that thing any better. It's not going to, it's that the thing that's making me angry is still out there. It still exists. And at some point in the future, it's just going to make me angry again next time I think about it. And so I was like, it just felt, it felt unproductive to just distract myself from the thing that was making me angry. But there's that old saying of, God give me the wisdom to know what I cannot change or something like that. You have to understand that some things are going to make you angry, and being angry about them isn't going to do anything about the situation. And no matter how much you think about it, you're never going to find a solution. Like, for example, I was thinking earlier about one of the things that potentially caused me to become angry was as I was thinking about how this friend I used to have did something that made me feel bad. This person did something that upset me, and all these years later, I'm still upset about it, and it still causes me to become angry. But thinking about it isn't going to undo what this person did. Thinking about it isn't going to do any good at all. And it seems too simple to say, well, just don't think about it, And it annoyed me when I would read that when I was looking up anger management techniques, and that kept coming up. It just kept saying, distract yourself, don't think about it, just don't think about it. It's like, that sounds too simple. Like, I can't simply just not think about it. But I can, because I am in control of my thoughts. I can control what I think. I can choose what to think. And I can just not think about that thing that person did all those years ago that upset me. And in fact, my life is a lot better if I don't think about that thing that person did to upset me. And, like I'd often think about that thing and get angry about it and be like, well, I wouldn't be so angry if this person just reached out to me and apologized. If this person just acknowledged that what they did was wrong. And, that's like, I just have to admit that that's never going to happen. And me sitting around being angry about this thing that happened all those years ago isn't going to make that person apologize to me. And if I just keep thinking about this thing that made me angry, eventually, in the past, my anger would have built and built and built and built until I would have done something that I would come to later regret. Like, I'd think about how this person had wronged me, And I'd keep thinking about it, and I just keep getting angrier thinking about it until finally I was so angry that I felt like I needed to do something about it. So I would have like reached out to this old friend of mine and been like, hey, you remember that thing that you did all those years ago? Well, I'm upset about it. And that would not have made the situation better. The person probably would not have said, oh, I'm sorry about that thing that I did. They probably wouldn't have apologized because this person was toxic and not very nice. And so, see, I'm getting angry. I'm getting angry because I'm thinking about this thing that person did all those years ago that still upsets me. But thinking about it is not doing me any good because, again, this person is never going to apologize. Even if I were to reach out to them, specifically asking them to apologize, they would just double down and not apologize. And if anything, it would just make them... It would probably just give them a smug sense of satisfaction knowing that this thing they did to hurt me is still hurting me all of these years later. You know, like I would be doing myself no favors. So again, I just have to stop thinking about it. Just distract myself. So, next thing that I do when I'm angry is I resort to the coping strategies that I've learned from the support group that I'm part of. There are a lot of good coping strategies that I've learned in this support group. I will put a link in the description down below to a video talking about how you can join this support group if you want to. I really recommend it. I've, again, learned a lot of really great things from this support group. And there are a number of coping skills that I've learned that could apply to the situation I'm currently in, like excuse, don't accuse. Instead of accusing this person for having done that thing that upset me, I will excuse their actions. I will choose to forgive them, and I will choose to not dwell on it. Drop the judgment is another thing they say in my support group. So, part of the reason why I'm so mad about what that person said to me and did to me all those years ago is because I am judging them. I'm judging them for the way they behaved. I'm judging them for the way they treated me. And so I have to drop that judgment. Another coping strategy is that calm begets calm, temper begets temper. So the more angry I am, the worse the anger is going to be. Whereas if I instead choose to try to be calm, then the calmer I choose to be, the calmer I'm going to become. Another thing that I do when I'm angry is simply breathe. This is another thing that a lot of people told me to do that really pissed me off, honestly. I really hated it when I used to call this crisis hotline all the time, and oftentimes I'd call them when I was really angry because, I felt like I was in crisis because I was so angry and I didn't know what to do with the anger. And it was just like, anger is an unpleasant emotion. It really sucks to be extremely angry. So I would call them and I'd say, like, what do I do? I'm just so angry and I don't know what to do about it. And they would say, breathe, or do you want to breathe with me? And that would just make my anger worse because I'm like, breathing's not going to do anything. I've been breathing my entire life and I'm still angry, It seems like such a simple solution that it seems stupid to me, but I've come to realize that there is a lot of merit to it, and breathing really actually genuinely does help. So clearing my mind, kind of meditating, focusing on my breathing instead of focusing on the thing that's making me angry is a good way to clear my brain, to reset, to calm down, to slow my heart rate, to, distract myself from the thing that's making me angry. I guess that's pretty much what I do when I'm angry. Anyways, this video was intended to talk me through my anger so that I would no longer be angry by the time I finished making the video. But I think I have to go do some breathing exercises and distract myself. I'm going to go put on a YouTube video and try to pay attention to it and not think about the thing that's making me angry, because that's really what's going to help me, I think. Because I am still currently angry, and anger sucks. It sucks to be angry. It really, really does. It's not a pleasant emotion. It's not an emotion that I wish on other people. And yeah, so I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go breathe. I'm going to go remind myself to be calm. I'm going to go distract myself from the thing that's making me angry. And hopefully that will help with the anger. Now, I don't know if there's any way for me to completely make my anger go away, because like I said, sometimes when you have anger issues, you're just passively angry, and it's one of those things where you just don't know how to it's just kind of there, you know what I mean? Like, to use the metaphor that I used earlier in the video, it's like there's a little candle burning in the back of my mind. There's a little flame burning in the back of my mind, and that is the anger. And so my objective isn't to completely extinguish the flame, because I don't know if that's even possible. My goal is to make sure that flame doesn't become a full-blown fire in my brain, that it doesn't catch fire and ignite my whole brain. You know, I'm just trying to contain the flame. And so I'm going to go do that. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Stay frosty. Bye.